Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had an absolutely amazing week. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, welcome. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, welcome back. Happy to have you. And for those of you who are watching the replay later on Dr. Nikisha Hammond YouTube page, welcome. So, welcome to everyone. Thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Again, we are winding down. It's hard to believe, but we are winding down the end of this year, which is crazy. It always feels like it goes slow in the beginning of the year, right? And then by the end, I feel like by the time November comes, it's like practically the end of the year here when we zoom through a lot of these holidays here. But thank you guys for starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And today I wanted to share a couple of tips with you about how to support people through the holiday season. Because again, as we've been mentioning, it can be a lot. We've been talking on Mental Health Moment. For those of you who may have missed a couple of episodes, we've been talking about how to take care of yourselves, right? As it gets busier and a lot more hectic in the world throughout, especially with the holiday season. But also, I want to talk to you today about how you can really support those around you, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, or even maybe a stranger. Because there's really a lot of things that you can do to support others. And one of the first things that you can do is it's to really recognize and remember that oftentimes we do not know what is happening in people's lives. Number one. uh, and thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And for some reason your comments aren't coming in today. I don't know why that's happening. Maybe they'll hopefully show up later. But from wherever you're tuning in from today, welcome. So the first thing to really think about is that we do not know what's going on in people's lives, right? Oh, there we go. Geez, now the comments are coming in. Good evening to you as well from Hawaii, vacationing here. Thanks for still tuning in all the way from Hawaii. You're a couple of times, well, yeah, a lot of time zones behind here, but it's all good. Thanks for joining. Someone says happy Tuesday evening from Puerto Rico. Welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in here. And really, again, thinking about not only do you not know what's happening in other people's lives, we don't know how they're dealing with certain situations or whatnot, which is why it's so imperative for us to, as much as we can within our bandwidth, if you will, to be supporting others. So thinking about how can you support others, whether it be your time, your talent, your treasures, your connections to resources. There's a lot of different ways we can be connecting and helping and supporting others. And I will tell you, and thanks for still joining in here. Let's see, from Hayward, California, welcome. From Fountain, Florida, welcome. Florida's in the house too. There's a lot of really small ways that you can support others, because I feel like a lot of times, I would definitely say, as a psychologist, all the stories I've heard throughout the many years that I've been talking with individuals and hearing stories, the smallest acts really do matter. The smallest things that you do sometimes really goes very far for people. So I really want you to keep that in mind. The whether it's the compliment, whether it's checking in with someone, whether it's spending time with someone, whether it's asking someone what do they need. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to help people, because again, some of your family and friends or coworkers or whatnot, some people, you know what's going on with their life, right? They've been open, they've shared. You might have seen a very open and transparent share on social media, but what I can tell you is there's a whole lot more people that are not sharing. There's a huge stigma when it comes to mental health. There's a lot of people who are not sharing, understandably, their depression, their anxiety, their trauma, all the things that they're experiencing. So because of that, whether or not someone has decided to share or not, I really want you to keep that in mind, especially during the holidays, because the holidays can be really tough, especially when it comes to mental health. There's a lot of triggers during the holidays. There's a lot of anniversaries of losses. There's a lot of just trauma that tends to come up, rejection, loneliness, depression, anxiety. There's a lot of things that really start to become more difficult during the holiday season, which is why I'm sharing this message with you all today. But thank you all for still starting to join here from South Dakota. Welcome. New Jersey's here. New York is here. Good evening to you as well. Let's see. Pennsylvania's in the house. Welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. If you're just tuning in, we're talking today about how do you support people, especially over the crazy hectic holiday season that is coming up here, right? How do you support people? And really, again, it's the smallest. It really is the smallest random act of kindness. Sometimes it really goes a long way. I can't tell you story after story after story of that I've heard, stories that I've heard from people who will say a person in their life, a family member, friend, coworker, whatnot, did something for them, that for the person that, whatever it was, whether it's a little bit of money, whether it was time, whether it was checking in, whatever thing that may have seemed small for the person that was giving it, was life changing for this individual and really helped them get through some hard times. So I want you to remember how powerful it is when you think about how can you help someone during this time. And Maryland's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Dublin, England is here with, let me see, 4 exclamation marks. Welcome, welcome. London, England is here for sure. Massachusetts is in the house as well. So thank you so much for starting to join here. And so I want to remind you, so I'm going to make an assumption here, right? When you're watching Mental Health Moment, yes, I haven't met many of you, but I've seen your names, I've seen your information, I've seen especially some of you that, tune in every Tuesday. Thank you. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to make an assumption, because you are individuals who are working on being the best version of yourselves, which is amazing. Congrats, that you are also givers. And I'm making that assumption. Like I said, I don't know you, but if you are, which I think you are, I want to really encourage you, especially this holiday season. I mean, the past couple of years with COVID, everything that it's brought, there's really been a lot of stress, right? Globally, there's been a high level of stress in a lot of different ways. So I want to encourage you this holiday season, however you normally give and whatever form that looks like, I really encourage you to do double. So if you say, you know what, I don't have funds right now, but I do a lot of, small things to help others, which again may seem small to you, but to that person receiving that kind act, it is very powerful. There's a lot of research studies. We talked about that and a past Mental Health Moment as well. But whatever random acts of kindness, whether it is funds, whether it's, like I said, the checking in with someone, whatever it is that you tend to do, I really encourage you to think about how can I do more of that, right? More of that for others. And even thanks for still tuning in here. Illinois is here. Illinois is here. Nigeria is here. Welcome, welcome. I really encourage you to do that, because it is something, again, that can be very impactful to think about. Even if it's a stranger, what can you do for that individual to really help them through their day? So for those of you who may have tuned in a couple mental health moments ago or so, I was sharing a story how one day I just had a really bad day. It was just one of those days that was just very stressful. I was very stressed out. I had my son with me. I was like, man, we got to get something to eat. I usually don't like to get fast food, but I was like, you know what? It was one of those days, right? So I was going through a drive-through, and again, some of you may have heard the story before. And the person, the person in front of me paid for the meal. I had no idea who they were, right? And they gave the cashier to give to me a little card that says Jesus loved you. And it seems like such a simple thing, you all. Like, it was literally a couple of dollars, that it cost for my son's meal. But it really made my day, because it just was one of those days I was like, oh, thank you, thank you, God, for getting this little note. It's a sign from God, like, I got you, like, you're good, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna make it, right? So that's one small example. Or, wherever you're at. I mean, the other day there was a I don't know where we're at, like a ice cream shop or something like that. We're getting something for my son, and there was this gentleman in line. He forgot his wallet, and it's like, no big deal. Like, let me pay for your ice cream or whatever it was. He got cookies or ice cream or something like that. And he was just like, oh my God, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, you know what I mean? Like it costs a couple of dollars. Like it's okay. We got it. Like I can, pay for your ice cream for your, little small things. Like I said, one individual recently, I won't mention their name because they probably don't want me to share what they tend to do all the time. But one individual recently I saw that I was having lunch with paid for anonymously paid for someone else's meal at the restaurant. And I was like, ooh, that's a good idea too. So I tried that recently as well. But I'm just giving you a couple of examples. And it doesn't even have to be that. It can be something small, it can be something big. It's whatever it is in that you're able and wanting to do as far as random acts of kindness. But again, I share this with you because you never know what someone is going through. And imagine the small things that you can do, especially during this upcoming holiday season here, which could really impact the life of a person, impact the life of a family member. There are people, I promise you, there are people, it's hard to admit, but that are struggling, thinking about taking their lives, thinking about, is life worth it? Like all those types of things are going through people's mind. You're not always going to see these things on social media because people understandably don't want to share everything, nor do they have to, right? But that's what's happening with people. So when you take the time to think about, man, how can I help somebody else? And again, you think it's a small way, but it could be really huge and major to them. It really, really goes a far way. So I encourage you to do that. Someone said, let's see, Dallas, Texas is here. Welcome. How's everyone doing? Doing great. Show kindness always, said someone. Yes. Someone says, I pay for the person in the drive-through at Starbucks behind me. I love that. And you know what's funny? And by the way, it's very contagious, which is great. Imagine, I'm getting like chills here, y'all. But imagine when you do things like that. And thank you for sharing that, because when you do things like that within your community, it spreads. Like kindness spreads. And I know it seems so basic, y'all, but I promise you it goes really far when we think about mental health, when we think about helping others. And hopefully you feel good doing these things too to help someone else. And it's a little thing. So funny you should mention that. The paying for the person in the drive-thru at Starbucks, yeah, behind you, because I had that happen actually a couple times, and I've done that as well. But what was interesting is one time, so the person yeah, in front of me had paid for me, right? And so I was like, "Oh, I'll pay for the person, behind me." And the lady had said, "Man, you're like the 10th car or something," because it kept happening. Like the person's like, "I'll pay for that person. Oh, I'll pay for that person." So it was so cool. It was just such a cool story, and that happens often. They say to really start that chain reaction when you see someone doing good, and someone said it in the chat too. Pay it forward, right? And again, I know mental health moment is about mental health, which we're talking about today, and how to support others. Um, and I know sometimes it's just like, oh, it's just some little thing, but it's not, you all. It's really, it can be really, really impactful. So I want to remind you of, again, the smallest things go very far. Someone said, good evening from Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome. Someone is here from New Jersey. Welcome. Hello with love from Oakland. Oh, I love that. Someone said, I'm sharing Thanksgiving meals with my neighbors. That's right. Thanksgiving is coming up. So again, so many things we've seen, which I love to see, by the way. One of the reasons why the end of the year is my favorite times of the year is because of all of the generosity I see, and just giving that example that you shared, like sharing Thanksgiving meals with neighbors, or I mean, there's so many ways. There's so many ways to contribute and help others, right? But I love to see those stories on social media. I love to see the good news. I love to see the generosity. I love us helping one another, which is why I wanted to remind you all, whatever you normally do, maybe kick it up a notch. Or if you're like Dr. Hammond, I'm in a really hard spot. Like I am struggling with my own mental health. I don't think I can do that. Then that's okay too. You be in the space where you take care of you the best way you can. But if you do have the extra bandwidth to be like, man, I really am trying to bless someone else, then find the ways, whether it's paying for someone at a restaurant, paying for someone at Starbucks, drive through, however you can bless someone, right? There's a lot of ways to bless others. Yep. Someone said, a little touch of kindness can lighten up someone's day. It absolutely can. And again, like I mean, oh, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people. Again, it's life changing for some people. For some people, this is the truth. You can quote me on this. For some people, when you do a random act of kindness, you are, like you said, you're lightening up and helping them in their day. But for some people, you are changing their life. I You are changing their life. That's just how powerful it is. Because it goes a long way for people to feel like they're cared about and people to feel like they're loved, because of a lot of different reasons. Because of trauma, because of past histories, because of the way society is, because of all the negativity that goes on around us. So when someone else, especially a stranger, shows some type of caring behavior, I mean, it can be really, it really can go in very deep, for that person, and be very, very life changing for them. Uh, Someone said, "I need help with miracles now." Someone Someone said, "Someone paid for me before. I was amazed and wish I knew who it was so I could thank them." And you know what? And that's funny because well, again, I don't want to share their name because they probably don't want people to know. They did it anonymously, but I saw what they did and then I did it anonymously, too, like the paying for meals. But I will say though, I hear what you're saying that you wish you knew, but I would definitely say, and someone said it earlier too, to pay it forward, because sometimes we don't always know, we don't always know who it is that is helping us out anonymously, but which is okay, right? But what you can do with that, good feeling that you have, and gratitude that you have, is to think about, okay, who else can I help? And again, it could be someone that needs help. There are people that say, "Hey, I need help in, whichever way." And again, there's a lot of people that are not going to ask for help. Especially one of the memes that I like a lot on Instagram, well, on all social media, is to check in with your strong friends. I love that. And that's actually was my other tip today for you as well. Thinking about this holiday season, especially the people that you think, oh, they have it all together. Look at social media. Everything looks perfect. Everything looks great. They're so strong. They're so this. Those are the people you normally need to check in on as well. Because again, uh, not everybody wants to share, as they don't have to on social media. Not everybody has to share every part of their life because they don't have to. But a lot of people are still having their own mental and emotional struggles. So when you even check in to be like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Just checking in on you. That means a lot to people. Um, Someone said, oh, you were replying to someone else said, "I know we think about that, but the majority of the time we don't want the praise." Someone said, thank God for it, and then paying it forward is the focus. So true. Yes. And that's the thing, some people say, if you help someone else, should you let them know? Is it supposed to be anonymous? It really depends. I don't think there's a right or wrong for it. We see all the time, probably on social media, of a lot of videos like, look what I did to help others. It's To me, that's okay. Like if you want to share with someone, "Hey, I am doing this to help you," that's fine. If you want to do it anonymously, that's fine. I just say the bottom line is, let's try to help and support our neighbors, right? Our friends, our family members, because again, as I mentioned, the holidays are a very hard time, for a lot of different reasons. It's a joyous time, but it's also a difficult time as well, because of all the stress, that the holidays can bring, frankly, and the mental health challenges that I talked about earlier. Someone said, "Praise God." Yes, absolutely. So those are a couple of tips. I'm going to wrap up here, today, but a couple of tips that I wanted to share with you all. If you all ever need any resources related to mental health, you can always go to drnikishahammond.com, or, subscribe to the YouTube page, Dr. Nikisha Hammond, or connect with me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm missing one, or Twitter. I'm always forgetting social media. Pretty much every social media platform. Feel free to connect. I'm more than happy to connect with you. I'm usually sharing some sort of mental health resource on there anyhow. But again, I want to thank you for joining today. Actually, speaking of helping others, next Tuesday, I will be, at it's called Power of Thanksgiving. It's like a Thanksgiving celebration that we have in the community with the Brian Neese Foundation, that Tuesday night, and we're feeding over 1,000 families, a Thanksgiving meal. So I'm really excited to be there for that. So I will still be doing mental health moment next Tuesday, but more than likely I will pre-record for you all, some wellness tips, if you will, for you. So I may not be live. I'm not quite sure yet, but nonetheless, it'll be playing at 8 p.m. But I will be at that event to do that in the community. Looking forward to that. Like I said, I love this time of year, you all. There's just so much. There's so much activity. There's so much generosity during this time, which I wish it was all year round, but it's okay. I'm it's a good start, right? For the holidays. So someone said, let's see, giving without looking for praise is scriptural. Be careful that you don't do your charitable giving before men to be seen by them, or else you have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Matthew 6:1. Thank you for sharing that so much. So again, I will leave that up to you all. But the most important thing I will say is, when you think about how to support people, especially through this holiday season, to think about doing more. To think about doing more. How else can you be of service? How else can you help someone else? If you, again, have that within your bandwidth, if you're like Dr. Hammond, I'm just trying to hold it together right now, then I say, okay, you know what? Then you take this time to do, which we talk about all the time on mental health moment, but you take the time, extra time, to have some self-care for you, which is all good. And then maybe starting the new year, you're like, okay, now, you know what I mean? I'm ready to start. I'm ready to help others or support. So you think about where you're at. There's no right or wrong answer. But again, there's a lot of ways that we can support others. So I encourage you to do so. And again, if you need me, drnikishahammond.com. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for working on being a better version of who you are. And thank you all for, in advance, for anyone that you want to help and spread those random acts of kindness to others, which again really does make a difference when it comes to mental health and well-being. So thank you all for that. You all are amazing. I will see you all next time. Have an amazing week. Take care of yourselves. Be blessed. And I'll see you all. Thanks so much. Bye, y'all.